Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. You know, I made a comment on a YouTube video not too long ago. There's this female cop, and she was just the most ugly woman I've ever seen in my life. And so I commented on the YouTube videos that that's the most ugly woman I've ever seen in my life. A minute or two after I posted that, I got a notification that said my comment has been removed for violating the terms of service for comments on YouTube. And I was just like, what? Really? Really? You can't say someone's ugly? And then I started thinking, this is kind of a problem. Not just the fact that I can't say that someone is ugly, but that means that you can't comment on my video calling me ugly. And I want those comments. See, I'm an adult. I can handle things like that. You know, I went to public school. So, I mean, go ahead right now. Go down in the comments and just call me ugly. See if anything happens. Just everyone go and comment in the comments. Call me ugly. Call me rock biter. I've heard it all. You know, call me, fat boy, whatever. Call me names and see if you can get away with it. Because that's kind of concerning. You're messing with satire here at that point, Can't make fun of people. It's ridiculous. Cyberbullying. Get bent. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I am your host, the Madman. I want to remind you again, I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today, or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. Follow me on social media here. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards, at DNALETSAW on Twitters, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I got caught in traffic recently. It's been a while since I got caught in traffic. And let me tell you something about merging. I may be ugly. Please comment and tell me I am in the comments. I may be ugly, but so many of you are stupid. I was on the road and I saw the signs, big orange signs, written in English. Says work up ahead, road work ahead, merge left. So I merge left. And all of a sudden, I'm caught in this lane where everybody in the right lane is zooming past us, and I'm on my brakes the whole way because so many people are in that right lane. They're like, oh, that sign doesn't apply to me. That doesn't apply to the road I'm on right now. And I'm special anyway. I should go ahead of everybody else who's sitting here. Then you'll be sitting there some asshole in front of me is letting somebody in from the right. And it's like they had plenty of warning. Cops should be at those places right there, pulling people over and writing tickets left and right for trying to merge ahead of their time. You know what I mean? And it's so inconsiderate and it's so frustrating and infuriating. It makes me want to kill you all. I'm kidding. It's a nice fantasy while you're sitting there with the steering wheel in your hand, but it's something you don't act on, obviously. But the impulse is real. It's very real. And then you'll get up to the point where everybody's trying to edge in and you're like right on that dude in front of his bumper. It's like, no, I'm not letting any of you in. And you'll get people yelling at you, throwing the finger at you. It's like, you're the jackass that ignored all the signs and disrespected all the people that were in front of you. Give me a break with that stuff. I wish, I wish cops would do that more often. Pull those people over because it is ridiculous. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm glad I don't get into traffic often because that makes my blood pressure that and all the salt. I was doing some deeper research into the evil of horses. As you know, it's constantly on my mind, as it should be on your mind, about how evil horses are. And so I was looking on Wikipedia and I found this article, which kind of, I kind of like narrowed it down where God hates or where God went wrong. And, I hate when I say stuff like that. There's my Christian friends and people in the comments sometimes like, if you're a Christian, you shouldn't say stuff like that. It's like, lighten up, get a sense of humor. You think I really want to murder all the horses in the world? But I found it. I found the exact point where God went wrong. Perissodactyla. Perissodactyla. Dactyla meaning fingers, toes, and Pariso, meaning odd or strange. They're odd-toed creatures. They fall into 3 different families within that particular order. You know what I'm talking about, right? The kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. You know? Because, I mean, I could say horses, and that's like kind of a broad term. See what I'm saying? I'm not just saying a specific genus and species. You know, I'm saying the entire order is wrong, is messed up, and is a mistake by God. All right. So the Perissodactyla cover the Equidae, the horses, asses, and zebras, rhinoceroses, Rhinoceteridae, and Tapiridae, which are tapirs. Now, that's the tapirs. I understand why they have their own separate category. They're weird looking. They're like, I don't know, like a stunted elephant or something. I don't know what. They're weird, but they're kind of cute. And so I'm kind of okay with them. Rhinoceroses, they're pretty nasty. They're pretty dangerous. All right. So pretty much like every form of life in like Africa and Australia is pretty awful and dangerous. Like the spiders and everything. Anyway. But I'm particularly talking about the horses, the Equidae, if you will. They're particularly evil. I mean, more evil than rhinoceroses. But I think that whole order is probably just for safety's sake. I mean, maybe I should go down to the class. I mean, the family, I mean. I go down the family of Equidae. But I don't know, rhinoceroses kind of fall into the category. Maybe it is Equidae. See, here's the point. It's like, you know, this is how high up it goes. This big screw up. Because there's been a lot of evolution since the first horse came into being. Horse-like thing came into being. And who knows what the first horse-like thing that came into being was. It could have been a unicorn. One of the most terrifying creatures ever conceived by man. The unicorn. So I just want you to know that I'm always on the case. I'm going to try to figure out what these horses are up to. I mean, short of like hanging out with horses, because, you know, I don't want to get killed. You know, not only are horses dangerous, so they don't have to know anything about you to kill you, but if they are if the conspiracy goes as deep as I think it goes when it comes to horses, they probably know about me by now. And they're probably behind like why I'm shadow banned in the algorithm and stuff like that. People don't watch my stuff because the horse mafia is after me. Nobody, you know, they don't want to like elevate my content. They don't want my message to get out about the danger of horses. I have stacks and stacks of research upon the danger of horses, and they're trying to silence me. They're trying to cut my tongue out. Anyway, all right, gonna lighten the mood a little bit. You bum me out talking about horses. Yeah, I had a friend who like recently found out that I have like a whole bunch of videos on this channel devoted to why I hate horses. Like, what? You'll get it. You'll get it sooner or later. You want to be a little lewd? You want to talk a little nastiness? Let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in the room while someone else, like 2 other people, have sex? You ever been in the room? How about there's like maybe like 3 or 4 of you in a room while 2 other people are having sex, and you're just trying to watch TV, and these 2 people are having sex. Like I say, a hotel room. All right, because that's the exact situation I was in after I got out of boot camp, and I had a weekend between boot camp and A school. And we just went out and partied. A whole bunch of us got together. We'd get like 4 of us at a time. We would chip in. Or was it right after A school? I don't remember. It was sometime early in the Navy career. And so we went on this, like, we had this weekend where it's like school was over and we were about to go. Yeah, that was after A school. School was over and we were about to go out to the fleet on like Monday. So we had the weekend. So we chipped in, like 4 of us got a hotel room. And we said, yeah, we're going to be partying all night anyway. So worst comes, I just plan on passing out on the floor, you know? And I was like, okay. So we got like, it was like 3 guys and 1 girl chipped in on this room because one of the guys and the girl were dating. Those weren't the 2 people that ended up banging. All right. They didn't want to do that in front of other people. They had some modesty, I suppose. But there was this other guy who picked up a girl that night because he was one of those kind of guys that could pick up a girl, and took her back to the hotel room and was going at it like pretty much all night. He wasn't even drinking or nothing. Just wanted to get laid after school. So he was busy working on that. Me, I was, being late, getting laid would have been nice, but I mean, it wasn't my objective. My plan to get hammered, especially if I was sharing a room with 3 other people who who are banging, who might be banging. And I wanted to get as drunk as possible so I could not remember any of it. Mission failed. Because I still remember this. Yeah, we were out partying, getting different rooms at the hotel, drinking, having a good time and all that. And then it was getting too late. The party's dying down. It's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. We end up back in the hotel room, and let's say his name was Harry. He's like, Harry's just going to town on this girl still. He got the covers on him and stuff like that, but they're just little moans every now and then. We're trying to watch TV. And then every now and then he would make a comment from under the covers. I remember this one time he goes, oh man, I need a cigarette. And it's like, dude, you're still at it. He knew people were watching, so he had like performance. I had to prove that I can do this good. I don't want everyone to know how terrible I do this. That's the great thing about one-on-one sex is only one person can keep your secret. Only one person to keep your secret. He's like, oh, I need a cigarette. He said that a couple times. And finally, the girl who was in the room, who was not having sex, because there's like 5 of us in the room at that time. She's like, just damn it, just flip her over and get it over with. And that became like I don't know, one of those phrases that you said the rest of the weekend. When you wanted somebody just to stop whatever they're doing, just flip her over and get it over with, Anyway, that was weird. I wouldn't recommend that kind of stuff. I remember I was telling my friends who I went like boot camp and A school with, who were also Christians, is that what you knew those guys were like that. They were going to go out and they wanted to get laid and get drunk. And I said, well, I wanted to get drunk, laid maybe. And I don't understand. It's like those Christians that comment. It's like, you shouldn't say God made a mistake by making horses. Ease up, relax, learn how to take a joke. Alrighty, we're going to get to a very serious subject. I know everyone's talking about it because it was Columbus Day last week. Monday, I should say. And here's the thing about Columbus Day. It's always Columbus Day. It's always going to be Columbus Day. It's never going to be Indigenous Peoples Day because what did you do? You didn't do much. All right. And let's be honest. You can bring up that picture anytime. I suppose you're working on it. Yeah. And so when Columbus and people like him came to the New World, there were people there. There were civilizations, but they were Stone Age civilizations. All right. It's not like they got off their ships, it's not like they drove their ships into New York Harbor. They had to park off the shore and take longboats in because there was no road, there was no infrastructure, there was no writing, there was no bronze, there was no iron, there certainly wasn't any saltpeter. Because the people who lived on that continent were 5,000 years in the past in terms of technology. All right? And you can say what you want about the evil white man coming to North America. Say what you want about it, but you know what? It was going to be somebody. It would have been the evil Muslims and their ships. Or it would have been the evil Chinese and their ships. Or the Portuguese. Some culture was eventually going to find the New World and start to colonize it. And if you're a Stone Age tribe living in that area, and you just view these other people as just another tribe you're going to fight, because that's what you've been doing. You've been fighting for centuries and centuries and centuries, so bogged down in that, yet you couldn't even invent writing. And you keep forgetting that the only reason anyone knows anything about your culture is because the evil white man came to this nation, came to this country, and wrote down their experiences with you. Otherwise, you would just be another nameless tribe that got wiped out long before the white man arrived. You'd be a series of nobodies in a mass grave that dot the landscape of history. And that's the nature of humanity. That's the nature of civilization. All right? A superior technological force is going to win. All right? And you're lucky. You're lucky that it was white Christian people coming to this nation and creating the finest nation that ever existed. And the only reason anyone knows anything about your culture is because we wrote shit down that we experienced with you, whether that be being impressed by your culture. The Iroquois, for example, they had like some mathematics, so that's what made them good traders, and they traded with the Europeans who were arriving. And so they interacted and they said, oh, that's the headdress. I mean, guys still go to football games, go to Washington Commanders games wanting to wear a headdress. Why? Because it's awesome. All right? And then when we wrote stuff down about you, we'd also talk about like your abilities as warriors. You know? So much in fact that we have to remember that that the Europeans were more technologically advanced than the Native Americans, but they still respected them as warriors. Both sides knew who had the better gear, but they still respected them as warriors. That's why we name helicopters Apache, missiles Tomahawk, because it's badass. And no one would remember any of it if it weren't for the white people who knew how to write your name before you knew how to write your name. They made this country a way better place. Stopped you people from fighting each other for centuries and doing things like human sacrifice like they did mostly in Central America, the Mayans and the Aztecs. The Mayans were interesting. I like they actually had a system of like uniform writing, which is like picture writing. And that was like the most advanced tribe in all of the Americas were the Mayas, if you ask me. So there's some debate about the Incas and the Aztecs. But the Aztecs, killing people like crazy. You know, they had an eclipse and it freaked them out, and so they started murdering people. That'll get the sun to turn back on. You know what I mean? And that's what this whole meme is about. You know? Brought civilization to an uncivilized people. And you want to call that far right. You want to call that evil white man. Get bent with that. You're insane. I've been saying get bent a lot. My new thing. Get bent. You know? And so I think the most interesting joke about this meme is that, oh, here comes the far right. And what you see the Aztecs doing is actually the far left. That's what they're doing. They're like killing babies and doing gender surgeries on children. We want to bring a little civilization back into the world instead of doing these blood sacrifices to pagan gods. I thought of a real horrible joke to end this segment with, and there's a river running through every single Native American reservation in this entire country, and it's called the Crymea River. All right, let's done with that. Let's get something lighter. Something lighter. And change out pictures. EK. You know, I hate football. I hate football so much. I want to talk about baseball for a little bit. I want to talk about Grimace. I like French fries. You have that Grimace picture too? Sorry. Grimace and the Mets. So I wanted to talk about how the postseason is just so interesting in baseball right now. And the football season has started, and so most everybody who talks about sports is talking about football now. And I hate football so much, especially because of this. Especially this year. Postseason baseball has been incredibly interesting. And just one story in this is the whole Grimace story for the New York Mets. See, I'm a National League East kind of guy. I like the National League East, but I have rivals. I don't like the Braves. I'm a Washington Nationals fan, in case you don't know. I don't like the Braves. I hate the Phillies. Every time I see Trey Turner and Bryce Harper, I just, boo! And so, but the Mets, I guess, like in the middle of the season, they had a promotional day where Grimace came out and threw the first pitch during a game. And like from that game on, the Mets went onto a tear. All right. And this story is so baseball that I love it. You know, they went on to a winning streak where their game started picking up. You know, like 6 months ago, you know, they're at empty stadiums. You know, they were like last place and stuff like that. You know, like nobody expected much of them. And then they went on this tear after Grimace threw out the first pitch, and now Grimace has become like an icon for the Mets. And so, I mean, I wish EK would pull up that picture. The Grimace has been like cited like many times at the games. I don't know if like McDonald's pays like mascots to go do this. I'm very interested to know, because this promotion deal kind of worked out pretty good for him, to the point that where even I'm advertising McDonald's accidentally or intentionally accidentally. And so you'll get people going to the Mets games dressed up as Grimace, and everyone loves Grimace. You know, how do you not? But then it got to the point where Citi Field put a seat in, a purple seat. I wish Eric could pull up this picture. A purple seat at Citi Field with Grimace's name on it. And you look at that seat and it's like, there's no way Grimace is sitting in that thing. I couldn't fit in that seat. And that's just the nature of ballparks, you know, if you ask me. I don't like sitting in the seats. When I go to a ball game, I'll get you have to get a seat, but I'll never sit in it. I'm always wandering around and walking around seeing this stuff in the ballpark. I don't know, crowds make me edgy. Anyway, a lot of interesting stuff. And like the Mets are my team once the Nationals are knocked out. And so there's people that like don't like me in this world. I don't know. I've thought about doing this segment where you ever had anyone hate you, like really hate you. Anyway, but there's people I disagree with, and they're like, and I'm like, go Mets, and they're like, I don't even like you, but yeah. Because, you know, the Mets are my team because I hate the Yankees. You know, they fooled me. When I was a kid, I was given too many Yankees hats. Hey, you're living in upstate Connecticut, or in Connecticut. So, not upstate, but Connecticut. So you're a Yankees fan. Here's a Yankees cap for you, kid. Until I realized what baseball was, and that American League is basically JV. And so I don't care about the American League. And so that's why I root for the Mets. And even in 2000, when I went to, or is it 99, 2000? 99? 2000, when I went to New York for Fleet Week, I think that was the last Subway Series was during that time. And I got to be in New York for that. That was pretty awesome. And being in a minority of people who were rooting for the Mets in the room. You know, most of the people. We're in Brooklyn, too, you know. Where is Citi Field? Is that in, I don't know. I pretend like I know New York. You know. Anyway, a lot of interesting stuff happening this year in postseason baseball. No one's talking about it. You know, I wrote these notes when I watched a video called by a channel called Baseball Doesn't Exist. Can you pull up that, Grimace? What?
I've been fixing the heat.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Is it possible you bring up that picture so you can see the Grimace seat? There's no way you can sit in it. A lot of interesting stuff happening in postseason baseball. No one's talking about it. And then we can do go into the news after this, and you can get back to the heat.
Warmth in the studio.
Well, I was just looking at I only sweat on the right side. Yeah. It's
Let me take Grimace out of it.
There's no way he could fit in that. I couldn't fit in that. You could fit in it. I know, it's Grimace's seat. Who are you kidding? But I mean, it's so baseball, because like these traditions is like, for example, Grimace may be a permanent feature at Citi Field. There are going to be like Mets Grimace costumes sold online, probably right as we speak. And like I said, the Mets are my team when the Washington Nationals get knocked out. And so I'm rooting for the Mets, but they're playing the Dodgers, and they got Ohtani, and Ohtani's legendary. You know, I really enjoy these Japanese players that come over here and master the sport of baseball. Because when Americans were playing baseball, because that's what happened, is like American soldiers were playing baseball in Japan and the bases, and the Japanese were like, oh, we get this game. We like it. That's why baseball is huge in Japan, is because it really is a game for samurais. Yeah, anyway, I was watching this guy, Baseball Doesn't Exist, and just, I'm so impressed with people who can write that much, like write a half-hour video on sports, because I do not watch that much sports. I watch your videos on baseball. Anyway, and he doesn't even give like scores or updates or anything like that. It's just him talking in like a grand scheme view of baseball. I love it. Baseball doesn't exist. So yeah, free ads for Baseball Doesn't Exist in McDonald's. Anyway, let's get into the news worth knowing. EK's got things to do.
Things to fix, always. Always things to fix.
All right. All right. So, talking about Kamala Harris. I don't want to. But we're going to. Soon we may not have to talk about her ever again. I hope. All right. So an unearthed report reveals powerful Harris ally willing to share resources from black businesses with the CCP. That's the Chinese Communist Party, in case you don't know.
There's no Canadians.
No, it's not Canadians. First on Fox, powerful ally Vice President Kamala Harris, who has praised as an extraordinary leader who exhibits courageous leadership, met with multiple CCP officials during a business trip to China, where he vowed to spread the voice of black business. Fox News Digital has learned. Do these people not understand that Chinese people hate black people more than the Klan does? Do they understand how racist Chinese people are? Like, seriously, like the island across the way, they hate those people so much. It's ridiculous. It's like Zimbabwe and Congo. They're that close together, and they hate each other's races with a passion. And from halfway around the world, they hate you even more. Anyway, so Ron Busby, who had visited the Biden-Harris White House dozens of times, and is a longtime president of the U.S. Black Chambers, met with several CCP officials during a previously unreported trip to China. Fox News Digital Review has found. Busby traveled to Beijing, Shanghai, and Xi'an for a 10-day trip as part of a delegation of New York government officials and business leaders, including then-Governor Andrew Cuomo's chief diversity officer, Rose Rodriguez, who were dubbed the New Majority Alliance. The delegation's trip in September 2017 was supported by Consulate General of the People's Republic of China in New York, a Chinese government entity in New York that serves as a mouthpiece for the CCP and is recently implicated in an unsealed indictment against top former aide in New York's Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul. The New York in China Center, which has offices in New York and Shanghai, was the official sponsor of the trip. John Wang, who was recently appointed in August by New York City's Democratic Mayor Eric Adams, currently serves on the board of directors for the Empire State Development Board after being nominated in 2022 by Hochul. Established in the New York and China Center in 2008, handle the American business development business in China. New York and China Center facilities facilitates business, investment, technology, and cultural exchanges between New York and China. Yeah, the Democrats, they're communists. They like the Communist Party. They want to be the ruling Communist Party of America. So they're out constantly asking, hey, how do we take power from all these freedom of speech, gun-loving people? And China will give them advice because they're all about that. You know, and it's silly to think that you're going to send a bunch of minorities to China and they're going to be nice. They'll play nice if it thinks that it'll lead to some sort of communist revolution in the United States, which I don't think will happen ever. You got way too many people out in the outskirts. You're screwed if you try to do that, because it's only going to be the people in cities. Anyway, that's a whole different story. Whole different story. And those people in cities, they can't fight anyway. Yeah, let's go on to the next story. Yeah, the Harris corrupt. They're all corrupt and stupid, and they think they're getting away with it anyway. Let's talk about something out of left field. Speaking of baseball, Stanley Kubrick's daughter says she's very confident famous father would have supported Trump. The daughter of the famed filmmaker Stanley Kubrick announced her late father would be a supporter for former President Trump after the Republican presidential candidate used footage from Kubrick's film Full Metal Jacket in a campaign video. In a post on X, Trump interspersed realistic boot camp scenes from the iconic film with clips of the U.S. military service members dressed in drag to warn about the woke military under President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Transgender Biden administration official Admiral Rachel Levine has also shown in the video announcing the Summer of Pride, quote unquote. America's military president Donald J. Trump versus Comrade Kamala Harris. The text on the screen reads, "Let's make our military great again." In the post on X, Kubrick's daughter, Vivian Kubrick, responded to critics when she, who believed her late father wouldn't have wanted Trump to use the FMJ Full Metal Jacket scenes in his thing. But she said that she was very confident her father would be a Trump supporter if he were alive today. And that shows her tweets. Here are my thoughts. She went on to say, "I agree in principle that an anti-war movie is incongruous with promoting the idea of tough, non-woke U.S. military and thus war itself. However, these are the very dangerous and strange times, and thus using this footage is doubtless pure expedience. Because I'm sure the irony of using FMJ footage is not lost on Trump or his team. Trump is also seeking to end wars and use peaceful methods." Yeah, that's a fairly politic response. You know, if you want to talk about the meaning of the movie, I think the meaning of the movie is the duality of man. It's very, very simple. You know, it's like we could be monsters or angels. And that's what's interesting about us. And Kubrick, was just such a fine director that the boot camp scenes in Full Metal Jacket are everyone who's ever served in the military knows them because it's probably the most accurate depiction of boot camp, especially in the 60s, ever put to film. I think the second best is Stripes. But I mean, it's and regardless of Kubrick's political views or even what he thought the movie was about, it's a part of like Americana. Like his films are so good that it's very much a part of Americana, and that's why Trump took clips from that. And just because you use somebody's art to convey a point, I don't think you necessarily need their permission to do that. Anyway, feeling lazy today. Maybe it's the heat. The heat's getting to me. All right, let's go to the next story. Yeah, there's still Americans that need help. North Carolina, stuff like that. Hurricane Helene, more than 90 reported dead and 92 unaccounted for in North Carolina. And Governor Roy Cooper announced Tuesday that there are 92 people unaccounted for in his state following Hurricane Helene, and the death toll of the storm has reached 95.
Drastically underestimated.
Yeah.
There are areas they have their towns.
Oh, places they haven't got to.
They haven't even been able to reach yet.
Yeah.
Entire populations are gone.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous they're even reporting numbers.
Yeah. I mean, whenever something like this happens, the EK has a very good point. I mean, he's a numbers cruncher more than I am. And when these things happen, the initial numbers are just usually way lower than they're going to be. If you remember 9/11, the original estimates, were pretty low. And then when the real numbers started coming out, made you want to invade Iraq, didn't it? Anyway, so the fatalities have been reported across 21 counties, according to North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. The vast majority of those fatalities were reported in Buncombe, with 42 deaths, wow, followed by Yancey and Henderson at 11 and 7, respectively. The Department of Public Safety, this is a quote, formed a task force to find who is still unaccounted for and focus efforts where needed. As of today, the task force number of unaccounted for people is 92. Cooper said during a briefing, the task force, law enforcement, and other partners will continue to working to locate those who are unaccounted for, and I'm thankful for their efforts. Cooper added that the number of those unaccounted for will continue to fluctuate as more reports come in and others are resolved. The storm brought historic rain damage to the most beautiful regions in our state. In the face of catastrophic disaster, North Carolinians have come together to help each other begin to move forward. Road recovery will be long, and we will be with the Western North Carolina every step of the way. Okay. All right. NCDHSS told Fox News Digital that fatalities were confirmed by the North Carolina office of the chief medical examiner. Oh, geez, everyone's busy, huh? Justin J. Graney, chief of external affairs and communications for North Carolina Emergency Management, has told Fox News Digital there's wide area searches taking place since the hurricane came through. This includes grid searches, vehicle searches, damaged structure searches, and searches around areas where debris have collected. Hundreds of responders and where debris has collected. You know what they're looking for, right? Oh, Lord. You know, and not enough is being covered in the news about this. You know, it should be a national emergency. Instead, you know, it's business as usual at the news agencies. They should be all over FEMA and these agencies. It's like, where are you at? And I guess you shouldn't pester them all the time. Say, hey, do something. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, have you done anything yet? He said, leave me alone. I'm going to get to it. And so, I mean, it just isn't being covered enough. You know, they rather talk. They're pushing all this Kamala stuff, and we'll get to it's like trying to get black men to vote for her, and that's what they're concerned about, not the dead, dying, missing in America. What do they care? What happened? Did it flicker again?
Spots.
Every now and then it'll flicker out and back in. I'm bummed out. All right. This might cheer me up. Rapper slams people trying to shame him to vote for Harris, reveals why he may vote Trump instead. Lord Jamar, a rapper, producer, and actor from shows like The Sopranos, who I have never even heard of, scorched Vice President Kamala Harris and her supporters during a recent interview, and instead praising former President Trump's leadership. As the election draws closer, Harris's campaign sees itself not only as vulnerable with men in general, but with black men in particular. While Harris has made numerous attempts to gain support from men and black America, male commentators from radio host Charlamagne tha God and comedic actor Eddie Griffin have warned that she may not be successful, and Trump himself has a unique appeal to black men. Quote, this woman to me is not qualified to run. You know, a Dunkin' Donuts or a 7-Eleven. Let alone a corporation that we call the United States of America. Okay, so he's got other things to say, too. Jamar said, a founding member of Brand Nubian, said in a... He's a founding member of Brand Nubian? Said in an interview with The Art of Dialogue on Saturday. Maybe I have heard of him. He went on to argue that Trump's past service as president of the United States itself debunks liberal fear-mongering about him becoming a dictator. Oh, it's way different when a black guy says it. So people want to act like Trump is the worst motherfucker in the world. But guess what? He was already president, and all this shit you're talking about didn't happen. He didn't make himself a dictator, and this whole shit about he's going to make himself a dictator is really taken so out of context, it's ridiculous. He said he'd make himself a dictator on the first day, you know, to implement some shit. And then, you know, but that was, trust me, said tongue in cheek. It was not said seriously. Guy talks real, but he perceives things quite well, doesn't he? Harris said, gives him greater concern, nicknaming the modern Democratic Party policy Project 2024, and a warning that he may vote for Trump to prevent it. Y'all are ready to live in Project 2024, okay? You're worried about Project 2025 when they already ran Project 2020 on you with this pandemic. Oh, my God. And all that fucking bullshit. Like, what the fuck are y'all even talking about? Y'all trying to act like scare me into thinking he's so bad that I should just vote for this broad just because? But guess what? I feel that she's so bad. She's the one that scares me. So I feel that she's so bad that guess what? I might go fuck around and vote for Trump. This is my first time saying this out loud, but y'all motherfuckers think you're going to shame somebody or bully a nigga into voting for this bitch? Absolutely not. Black men are men. And men appreciate real talk. The reason I'm laughing my head off on this guy's quotes is that he's talking real talk. He's a real man. And real men think this way, especially when it comes to Harris. And I think even Charlemagne the God even said, like, Obama trying to shame black men into voting for Harris. It was messed up. Whack, I think he called it. Anyway. And men, of all types, they appreciate real power. They appreciate real competence. They appreciate real talk. And that's why I love this quote. It's hilarious. You think you're going to make me vote for this bitch? Nuh-uh. All right. So said he's not the only one either. He says that black Americans are in the real world, aren't behind Harris. Trust me, he went on to say, the sentiment on the street in the real world is that a lot of people are not fucking with this woman. They see right through her and they're trying to blame it on black men. But no, I see a lot of black women who are not fucking with her either. In contrast to Harris, he praised Trump for using his macho tactics to ensure no wars during his presidency. Let's keep it real and like Trump. First of all, there was no wars when Trump was in, when he was the president. How about that? There was no wars going on while Trump was president. That motherfucker was doing gangster shit to like in the Taliban, showing the pictures of their house from the satellite. Yeah. Men of all types like capable, powerful, real talking men like Trump. Like Jamar. He summarized the Trump's presidency message as to touch a hair on an American's head, we're going to bomb the shit out of your crib. For 18 months after that, no American was touched. He also mentioned a time when he sent someone to go interview people that packed a Trump rally in Long Island and the stark contrast between Trump supporters versus the anti-Trump protesters outside. He said, as a black man, he felt no racism whatsoever out there. They actually like brought him in type of shit. You know what I mean? Not really. Like he felt welcomed to be there by the people that was there, he said. Who he didn't feel welcomed by were the demonstrators who were out against Trump. And they were the ones looking at him like, oh, what are you doing over there? And that's kind of the whole point. It's like these Democrats, they're the racists. They're the people who are like, you're all the black people and you need to vote this way. Like when Biden said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. So I guess since you're not, even the ones that are voting for Harris, I guess you're not black either because he's not even on the ticket anymore. There's no way for anyone to be black now that Biden's not on the ticket. I guess we're all equal. Seems simple to me.
Racism cured.
Yeah, we fixed racism. Because this guy talks in a strange way, but he spits the truth, you know what I mean? And men respect that. You know what they don't respect? A woman as fake as Kamala Harris. Anyway, let's get into two happier stories. I mean, that one made me kind of happy. I like that one. But we'll get two happier stories. Because some stories I read, I was like, what the hell? Woman still suffering after being knocked out by a cauliflower at grocery shopping. You read that headline, you're clicking on it, right?
Vegetable.
I think the cauliflower is feeling left out. So, what are women made out of glass or something? What the hell? Grocery shopper in the UK was reportedly knocked unconscious after a discounted cauliflower fell on her head. Why was it discounted? Was it discounted more after it hit her in the head? Was it getting old already? Does cauliflower get harder the old? Anyway, I don't know. So Sammy May, M-A-I, a resident of Kingston upon Thames, England, told Great Britain News, I guess, GB News, that she was recently browsing a discount rack at the Waitrose grocery store in Bath. What is this, Middle Earth? Where is this place? When the vegetable hit the back of her head. Quote, suddenly a really large and heavy item fell down top of my head. It hit my head. The shopper recalled. I fell, and when I woke up, I was suffering from a concussion and was knocked out. Cauliflowers tend to weigh about 2 pounds. 2 pounds! It's made out of cauliflower. Anyway. May says the brassica fell between 4 and 6 feet before hitting her in the head. Do they store The cauliflower at like the top shelf? Do you have to go get? What do these grocery stores in England look like? I'm curious now. You have to get some guy with a big pole and a stick to go, I need that cauliflower right there. It's on discount, right? Yeah, that's on discount. To get the cauliflower, what is it, 12 feet above you? If it fell 6 feet to hit you in the head and knock you out, it's still only 2 pounds and it's made of cauliflower. What's your head made out of? Sugar glass? She later told The Sun she's still experiencing a variety of symptoms from neck pain to anxiety. And the incident has caused damaging impact to her health. She is considering legal action against the chain, of course. I was very unwell and I was still suffering and unable to work. I don't know how the cauliflower fell, but they should not store heavy, roundish items like that on the top shelf. Yeah, I have some questions about that as well. Normally, I'm not the litigious type, but that's strange to have cauliflower, discounted cauliflower, like 12 feet in the air. What? But I mean, in defense of Waitrose, the store, I would have to say, it's like, what is this woman's head made out of? Where a cauliflower, a 2-pound cauliflower, hit you on the head and knock you out. Anyway, I guess that's for better people and wearing wigs should decide. So Waitrose told Fox News Digital that they were aware of the situation. The shop received medical assistance at the time. Our customer could be seen immediately by the trained first aider at the time of the accident. Oh, I'm sorry. I got the quote wrong. Our customer was seen immediately by a trained first aider at the time of the accident, and we're sorry to hear she is so unwell. Customer spokesperson said, we take customer safety incredibly seriously and have thoroughly investigated this case, but will consider any new information she wishes to share with us. Fox News contributor Mark Siegel told Fox News Digital that though a significant brain injury is unlikely to have resulted from the incident, anything is possible. Cauliflower is soft, and even falling 4 feet is unlikely to cause significant head trauma. Thank you, doctor. Though again, anything is possible. See, it's those kinds of phrases that insurance companies seize upon, that juries seize upon. Don't say that stuff, doctor. It's ridiculous that a woman would be knocked out by a cauliflower. I think she's trying to get paid for no reason. Physician also noted that neck pain and nausea are all symptoms of blows to the head, even if a concussion was unlikely to in the incident circumstances. Siegel advised that anyone suffering from a concussion to seek medical help. Yes, if you have a headache, visual changes, dizziness, nausea, confusion, concussion, yes, you need a CI scan or like an MRI. Yes, concussions are bad. You know, while I was reading that, I was thinking about my favorite, the most accurate concussion I've ever seen on screen. Because you'll watch movies, right? And you ever seen that Wyatt Earp movie with Kevin Costner?
Yes.
Like it was like 4 or 5 times in the movie, Kevin Costner jumps out of nowhere and knocks somebody out with a pistol. Like, what the hell are you doing, Wyatt Earp? And when you do that, when you knock people out, that's a severe head trauma if they go unconscious. And it happens all the time in movies. But the only time I've ever seen a concussion displayed correctly on film was that when Mac and Charlie die episode, where they try to blow up the car. So he drives the car as fast as he can into a wall and hits his head. It comes out and he has like realistic concussion symptoms. It's like his confusion. I mean, it's sad what happens with people when they get concussed, you know, but he was like forgetting stuff and he was like following these weird trains of thought, like the wedding dress. They go to they go to a pawn shop to find something that can blow up the car and like fake their death. And so, but he gets distracted looking at a wedding dress at a pawn shop. He's like, oh, look at that. It's so sad, dude. It's like, okay, we'll get the grenades. We'll get the poppers. And then we get the wedding dress. And he's like, what are you talking about with the wedding dress? Well, we got to buy it. And it's like, what are you talking about? And they did it in a funny way, but it's very serious when you get knocked out. But I'm sorry. I don't think a cauliflower can do that. I think what the defense should do, or the prosecution, just bring big things of cauliflower and just throw them at people all over the courtroom. Oh, look at all the suffering I'm causing. But from what I understand, you really shouldn't start a food fight, especially in England. You've seen their food. Ugh. Anyway, the war's over, fellas. You can eat normal again. All right, last story, and we'll get out of here. God bless America. Gun-wielding suspect gets beaten up by employees at the pizzeria he tried to rob. You got to find the picture of this kid, if you can. It's in the article. So pizzeria employees in Texas took justice into their own hands when a man tried to rob their restaurant last week. Those are my notes on the evil of horses. So suspect Richard Curtis, 19, was charged with aggravated robbery, according to Fox 7 Austin. He allegedly walked into Marco's Pizza location in Austin around 7 p.m. on Thursday and approached an employee. Austin, this is like even liberal Texas. Fox 7 reported that Curtis slipped a worker a note that read, you don't say reading, it says a note reading. You say note read, a note that read. Don't say shit, the note said. Empty the drawer. Then he showed the employee a gun in his waistband, according to an affidavit. Quick-thinking employee grabbed the suspect and put him in chokehold. While his coworker called police. While the employee and Curtis were fighting, the manager of Marco's Pizza lifted Curtis's gun from his waistband, according to Fox 7. The manager allegedly tried shooting Curtis, but the gun didn't fire. This could have been way worse. Probably didn't know it was probably on safety. Seeing that the gun wasn't working, the manager then pummeled Curtis with the handle of the gun. Wyatt Earp style. At one point, the manager grabbed a knife from the kitchen and asked Curtis if he preferred prison or death, according to Fox 7. You roll hardcore, Austin. You're hardcore. Curtis stopped fighting and waited for law enforcement to arrest him. I guess I'll take prison. I'm going to pass on the death if you don't mind. Fox 7 reported that one employee was injured during the incident and later treated for a head wound. Authorities, so he fought a little bit. Authorities are actively investigating the incident, and there are no additional details at this time.
I got an additional detail.
Yeah? Is it his picture of this kid? Wow! That there is the face of somebody who will be deterred from crime for a long, long time. Let's hope so, unless mental illness or addiction is involved. But they really worked him over good, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's wonderful, I should say.
Wolfen.
Yeah. But what sucks about this world is that he might end up trying to sue them for the beating. And that's
Use excessive force.
Yeah. It's like, I'm sorry. You coming with a gun? That's a threat of lethal force. They dished out less than you are willing to. Even though the gun didn't fire. That was a bit much. I'm a little too Batman in that regard. I don't want to get all Punisher. I'd rather be all Batman about it. I think Batman's a little bit more on the moral high ground. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would appreciate that very much. Or you can send me money through Cash App. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. You can follow me on social media at Denalitsaw, that's the word wasteland spelled backwards, on the Twitters, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have books available for digital download. Search for links down the description below. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman. I love you.